Hello, everyone. Welcome to Natty News, the nattiest news show in the world. My name is Amber the Natty, and I am joined once again with my glorious host, Pat. And Pat, we have another movie star on Natty News. Like, I cannot believe this. We are, honestly, we're like an entertainment channel at this point. Pat, can you give the honors of introducing our fabulous guest today?
Absolutely. We're really lucky to have Ryan Booth on today with us. Ryan has accumulated over 20 years of experience, not only in the personal training business, which is how I know him, but also in the acting industry, working in Vancouver, B.C. And Ryan, the jokes, because last week we had Owen Chow on the show. I don't know if you know him, but
I know him.
He's starting his journey to become an actor. He's not quite as big as you yet, so he's got to catch up.
Well, I hope his goals are to be bigger than me. That's what I hope for that guy. Yeah, you know what? I mean, like we all got to start somewhere, and like if I'm already like aware of the guy, so that's pretty cool. Might be from watching your podcast too. So
There you go.
But yeah, but I mean, like. It's a long road, and we all just try to get as good as we can at it, and if we're lucky, then we work. But there's a lot of people who don't. So if we're working, that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Oh, sorry to cut you off, but yeah, like
No worries.
one of the reasons we brought you on was, not only we're vaguely a fitness and health show, but
I
we
love
like
it vaguely. I know you, man. You are not. It's not vague.
well, what I do for work is different from what I do outside of my regular day job. My day job, I'm very fitnessy, but here I like to kind of get out of that box too. Like, neither me or Anwar will ever act. I think. So it's kind of we're really interested to hear that side of the story, especially in the local scene. You hear a lot about Hollywood, but you don't get to hear a lot into the scene here in Vancouver.
Yeah, no, and it's really, really thriving, and we've really got a resource for tremendous, well-trained actors, and a resource for unbelievable crews and stunt performers here. You know what? Hold on one second here. I'm just going to turn off my air conditioner. Can you guys hear that? Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, it's okay.
I could hear it, but while you're doing that, to go over, so Ryan has been in some hit shows like Arrow, DC Legends of Tomorrow, Stargate Universe, iZombie. Like, you've been in some really popular shows in your time.
Yeah, man, I got really, really lucky. The CW network seems to cast me from time to time, and I just finished a couple of projects with Disney as well. There's a movie that, like, a Halloween oriented movie that'll be coming out in probably October, called Under Wraps, and there's another kids series about like an alien babysitter called Gabby Duran. I'm in an episode of that, which should be coming up pretty soon. I'm kind of pumped for it, and I'm also in the new Peacemaker series on HBO.
Is that the John Cena one?
That's the one. Blink and you'll miss me, but I had a bunch of great moments that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Excuse me.
Oh, well, I'll be looking out for you when I watch that.
Right,
that
on,
is
brother.
So cool, man. Like, that's awesome. So I think the biggest question I want to ask is, so like, what came first? So you're a personal trainer, but were you first a movie star and then go to personal training for the side, or did you do the personal training and that led you into a career in film? Like, how did it start out for you?
Yeah, well, I was sitting around with Clooney and Damon, and they were like, Ryan, you need another job because, fuck, this is not going to be your thing. And when Clooney and Damon tell you that it's not going to be your thing, you go and get another job. So I saw a help wanted sign at a gym, and I signed up. No, so for me, the goal, like, the first time anybody asked me what I wanted to do, it was I told them that I wanted to be an actor. And I grew up in Ottawa. In Ottawa, there's a high school for the performing arts. So you have to audition for it and so on and so forth. And miraculously, I got in, and there was a great deal of talent that kind of came from there. That's where I had my professional theatrical debut, and I guess my professional cameo TV on local TV channel thing called Teen Machine. I did it, yeah. So I did some TV there, and then I went from high school. I went right into conservatory in Toronto, just right into theater school, and then I was there for 3 years, and then graduated, and like had to eat. Basically. I was a bouncer for 10 years, put myself, like, went through school that way, and then, but when you don't want to be a bouncer anymore, you kind of have to rely on the things that you knew. And like all of my life, sorry, my puppy's over here. All of my life,
Oh
Maya,
man,
this is why Maya. She ain't having it. All my life, everybody asked me about like training with weights. Do you know what I mean? Because like I was in the weight club in high school, and I took my like physicality very seriously through theater school. So whenever anybody had questions, they came to me and asked me stuff. By the end of theater school, by my third year, I was the facilitator for actors warm-up class. So every morning, like very, very long days, like 12-hour days minimum, but every morning would start at 6 a.m. with like a breath, meditation, and movement a class. And by the third year, they gave the class over to me. And the guy who originally taught it also taught some, like, I guess it was a form of Pilates at a local like women's club. And no digging. Hey. Dogs. And he asked me to do that. And that was the start of my personal training career. I didn't last very long in that particular place. But one time I was working out at a gym. And the manager came up to me and he said, I got too many clients and not enough trainers. I was like, yeah. He's like, will you be a trainer for me? I was like, yeah. It's like, great, start Monday.
I love how formal it was.
Yeah. Okay. So that was 1997 for you. And they slammed me. I was working suddenly like 12 hours a day there. I went into burnout really, really quickly. And at one point, the same manager came up to me and he told me, you're going to have to get certified. And I was like, what's the easiest, cheapest, quickest way of doing that? He's like, there's a course this weekend. Be at it. I was like, okay. So then I went, and that was my first sort of certification. And like, I just turned out that I loved it. I loved the theory. I loved everything. I love the fact that, like, if I was learning something in a class, I was applying it that day with everyone. So my retention went through the roof. And when I was in high school, I actually had I had failed grade 10 biology so bad by November that if I got 100% until June, I wouldn't have passed the course. And I failed out of like grade 12 math was the highest that I got. And so I was not sort of science oriented and numbers oriented at all. I relied exclusively on like my acting to get me through high school, because it was a high school for the arts. Most of our credits were drama, and then we sort of filled in the blanks with like law and like family studies. whatever was kind of easiest. And then so I kind of I'd done this switch over thing, and then I got a job at a very reputable local gym chain, and they had very high requirements for certifications, and that sort of started the process. And then eventually when I came to Vancouver, and I met some, this is another thing about the 90s. In the 90s, you didn't really have to like have a degree for people to teach you things like active release. Like I was, like I actually got certified in like active release and this neurological treatment protocol. In the 90s with no like degree. I wasn't a CSCS. I was nothing. They just would, yeah, sure. They just never asked. You know what I mean? I'm sure they could qualify my intelligence, but they just never asked for certifications. So, or for certificates or, you know, anything. So I just I was in there at the right time. I learned all of these things that I could really present value to my clients with, and it just snowballed. I was just sort of right place at the right time type thing, which is great because when you're an actor, you're probably not making a living at just being an actor, unless you're Clooney and Damon. Those guys are assholes.
Yeah, your two friends, the ones who actually really got into personal training.
Yeah. So, and then like the bottom fell out of the acting industry in Toronto at that time, because there was SARS. There's like, it wasn't a pandemic, but it was, what's the one that's like right below pandemic?
Epidemic.
Yeah, that's the one. And like once it was in Toronto, like Toronto just shut down. And there was also a blackout in Toronto that year, which like forced everybody to like rethink their business plans in Toronto. And there was the West Nile virus, which was actually a really, really big thing. All these things were driving like people, tourism, and the film industry like out of town. So it all sort of shut down. I had a friend who lived here in Vancouver, who's a very good actor, and he had an acting class that he was teaching. He's like, come into Vancouver. I need a personal trainer. You can be my trainer, and you can come to my acting classes, and we'll kind of barter it out that way. And I was like, great. So then I came here, and once again, got really lucky with some of the people that I met. Took a clinical exercise specialty, and you know, got an agent and started the acting and building reciprocal innovations, personal training, and post-injury rehabilitation is what it was called.
Long name. I know. I've looked it up. I mean, on a total side note, I mean, the way I met Ryan was I was working at this gym downtown's Groundworks when I was still working for a gym, and then they wanted coverage for this guy Ryan, and then for all these 6 a.m.s, and I was like, oh my god, fine, I'll do it. And then I looked you up, and I found your website.
Oh, nice.
And it was a guy that barely looked like you on the website because there wasn't much of a beard. And I read the title, I was like, this is a very long name for a company.
Yeah. So then I wanted to be smart. You know what I mean? I wanted to seem like I had put some thought into it, and you know, I went with like Sherrington's law of reciprocal inhibitions and stuff, and I was like, okay, well, we're not an innovative company, we're an innovative company, and I was like, oh fuck, man, I really pulled out the stops for that stinker. Anyway, but I did change it. Hey, please come to my website, ryanbooth.ca. It looks like me now. The guy's got a beard, I think, and it's just way easier to navigate. And plus, people can remember Ryan Booth. Try spelling reciprocal innervations. That one's tough. But you know what? You live and you learn. When I made that website, I had no idea that there was going to be that the websites were going to be required. Like, no one told me in theater school or personal training school, marketing's going to be probably your most important thing, and the website you know, is sort of key. But if you don't have somebody who's doing like your search engine optimization and all that stuff, then you just kind of have a landing page where people can, I don't know, they can bookmark it and get in touch with you if they need to. That's what it boils down to, right? So I think like fixing that website was definitely key to establishing myself more in Vancouver.
Well, that's amazing. And, just the sheer amount of different stuff you've done, especially just like with training wise, like going from Toronto to Vancouver, from getting your certifications and all of this stuff. Like in your 25 years, how have you seen the fitness and training industry change? Like what are some of the goods that changed, some of the bad things? Like how do you feel about the industry now?
I mean, the industry is still full of shit. It was full of shit then. It's mostly people trying to pawn off bad ideas that sound good in theory. You know what I mean? We're going to give you this mask and you're going to go run on a treadmill and it's going to simulate training at altitude. Well, no, it doesn't do that. That's not how it works. You're actually just making it harder to breathe and not reducing the amount of oxygen in the air, right? And like how many of these like products are out there? Like I'm astounded daily. I saw one on Facebook yesterday and it's a cupping, it's a gun for do you know cupping? Like it's a therapy for like physical trainers will use it. And what it does is like they suck air out of a cup that's in contact with your skin and it sucks like a hickey onto your skin. And all right, whatever their claims are aside, if you're gonna have these like progressional hickeys placed on your body, wouldn't you want that done by like someone who at least understood like anatomy? Like, I don't think that you should be doing this for yourself. So this is just one of the examples of the craziness that's out there, and it's just way easier to package and sell junk ideas, and it always has been. You know, like there was like back then we were reading Muscle Mag, and Muscle and Fitness magazine, or like we used to call it Muscle and Fiction. And they sold all those crappy like tools as well. But now it's just like every time you open your phone, it's like there's like, oh, you need to buy this and you need to buy that and there's this thing and here's my treatment process that NKT and everything. You know, it's just like it's all about like making it easier for people, and that kind of sucks because like you have to be able to integrate forms of strength training into your life, but sometimes that's gonna just be hard, you know, and people want to think that it's gonna I'm gonna eat this moss that comes from a tree in northern BC and it's gonna make my life way easier or whatever. You know, we had hydroxycut, we had ephedrine and caffeine. You know what I mean? They take this, you'll get skinnier. Boom, we did. Some people died though, so might not have been. So like the business has kind of like always been, you know, full of shit, and I resented it then, and I kind of, well, I obviously still resent it, but what we have as fitness professionals is the opportunity, and this is kind of how I hold myself, is the opportunity to be the embracing membrane between the research and the debilitated client. So that sounds wonderful and noble and everything, but it's really hard to sell. The truth is really, really hard to sell. It's just not really like glamorous and sexy. You know, it's like, well, you have to show up. You have to show up every week. You have to lift these weights, and they get pretty heavy. So, see you next week. Like, I guess that's pretty much what I do, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, man, I loved your answer because I feel like I feel that fitness industry is such a fake and harmful industry, selling pills, selling dreams, kind of going against people's insecurities to market to them. But like lifting and exercise is such a huge part of life. Like being able to be fit, exercise, move around is one of the best things about living. But then the fitness industry kind of puts a boundary on it where it's like, oh, you want to be healthy, then you have to do X, Y, and Z things. If you can't do X, Y, and Z things, you can't buy this product, then you're not going to be fit and healthy. And it creates a wall where people don't think they can. And like, I mean, I think you can agree. It's like getting fit is kind of easy. You just go to the gym, you do the work, you eat healthy, and you're good to go. That's all you really need to do. But then it gets overcomplicated.
Yeah. Okay, so I totally agree that people will overcomplicate it like instantly. But we're also working, like, I don't know, like Pat, maybe, I don't know where you are on this, but like we're living in a world where like people, when they hear the word fitness, what they think is abs. Like, and they don't actually think about like what we're actually dealing with, which is like being able to be responsible for yourself in a particular situation, right? So because they're thinking abs, and those girls on CrossFit have abs, I'll go and do that, and then exactly. Like, you know, injury rates and all that stuff, and all those things kind of go up, right? Nobody's actually trying to get better at a thing. Everyone's just trying to work harder and eat less. Yeah. And I think that like the numbers pretty conclusively show that it's not that's an abject sort of failure, you know. Eating less while training more and creating all those extra deficits results in further weight gain down the road, right? So we kind of, I think this is another thing that we get to do as fitness professionals, and that's kind of flip the script a little bit, you know, and have people kind of take a step back from going out and running 4 miles a day, you know, to like we can kind of hold them back and like hold them back from doing that in favor of being able to continue doing it later on, so that they're not injured, so they're not creating these massive deficits, which cause hormonal upheaval, which causes a lack of enthusiasm for the sport, whatever it is that they're doing, and then they just wind up not doing it for 9 months of the year. Right? What we get to do is keep people doing it 12 months a year, just to varying degrees. Yeah, right? And I don't think that there's a product out there that does that. That's my personal position on it. I really don't think that, like, I'm 48, man. I've tried everything. Like, I've tried, like, I destroyed my adrenal glands with ephedrine in my 20s. That worked, but it turns out you're on steroids. And then like all the creatine, all the glutamine, and then like to the blood tests. I've done every single imaginable form of diet as a lab rat on myself. And like, I can honestly say that, like, unless you're deficient in a particular thing, like going to taking that thing is in your best interest for sure. But like to just say, oh, we have the thing that's going to make everybody, 10 foot tall and bulletproof. There it is. That just doesn't exist. You know, how could it? Yeah. Like, everybody's biological requirements are completely different. What, you know, if I take creatine now, I just become a giant fat guy. Not saying that fat is bad, but like I get bloat face and all that stuff. You know what I mean? And like, what's the point of that? Yeah, but for some people, for like a power lifter or whatever, then that's, you know, it will work. It will work as long as you're working in the right sort of energy systems. Yeah. Bodybuilder more than power lifter.
No, those are some great points. You were mentioning kind of the longevity aspect of it, of like the idea of the runner not running 4 miles every day, but running year long instead of getting injured and have to holding back. And I think one of the big things I've kind of learned maturing in my lifting career is maybe hold back a bit. Like me and Pat, we can talk about this. When we were in high school, we would go to the gym and be like, okay, we're just going to keep lifting till we can't. Like, we're just going to keep on going as hard as possible until we can't. And
I did that too. Suicide squats. Do you remember those? Oh my God.
Exactly. It was just literally, looking back, I was like, we were so dumb. Like, that was such a stupid thing for us to do. And I'm kind of curious, in your years of training, how has your training evolved? Like, where did you start off, and what do you think now? What do you believe in training now?
Well, okay. So for my 10th birthday, I got a bench that could extend to a squat rack. It was one of those weeder things with the
Oh
plastic
man.
wrap,
How
and
does that work?
the sand filled. Yeah, well, not great. You kind of had to duck down for the squats. Do you know what I mean? And then like get it up in a position and stuff. And it came with like one page of like the 4 exercises that you could do, because it had like a quad extender and like a calf curl type thing. It was like
Calf curl.
well, hamstring curl, but like the things on a weird arc, so it's all calf. And we set it up in a room in my house outside of Ottawa, and that's where I started. And I was just like, okay, how many of these could I had? Like, I was 10 and had no idea. My dad had no idea about these things. Like, nobody really did. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just do like as many as I can. That's exactly what I thought. And then I thought the next day I'd be able to do more. Was I?
Sometimes.
Answer
I'm sure
that.
sometimes.
No, I was not. The next day I was like doing less. I had no idea about rest intervals. I had no idea about energy systems. I had no idea. And most people don't, and God bless them. It shouldn't really matter, right? But as like I progressed, I started talking to people. There was a weight club at my high school, my junior high school, and I went in there, and there was one big guy who was in like grade 12. He was like on the wrestling team and the football team, and I just started, and it was this universal. It was like one of those universal gyms that like you go around and like it's got a bench press and a chin up bar and these things for pushing for shoulder press. Which I suppose you could kind of squat with a little bit, and like it had the lower pulleys and all that stuff, so you could kind of do like some kind of like deadlifty type thing. I just did what that guy did, and it started to work. And then I got interested in the Muscle Mag, the Men's Fitness, the Men's Health magazines, and all that. I wasn't interested in Men's Health. I was interested in like the jacked Olympians who were like going out and destroying like the world. And so I'd read those magazines to glean what they did, right? And they had these routines that they'd post, and it was like way too much, but I'd go and I'd do it anyways. And then people started asking me about it. By the end of high school, I was on the rugby team, and I was on the weight club, and so every afternoon we were in the thing, just pressing, you know what I mean, just doing bench or just squatting or whatever. Before I actually realized what I was doing, I was laying the groundwork for the thing that was the most important. And this is what you guys did. You know what I mean? You get under a bench press and you do as many as you can, and then you stop, and then can see if you get better sort of the next day. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is that you have a team of like-minded humans who are interested in the same thing, and you guys are out there and you're doing it. Like, that to me is amazing. And I realized soon that I had attracted that into my life too. Like, me and my friends would go out when we were like 16. We'd go out to bars and stuff, but before we did, we all met at my friend's house and we had a lift, and we probably didn't know what we were doing. We probably didn't, but we did anyways. And we were like, bigger than most of the guys like in our like age, you know what I mean? So like we were doing something right by reading those books. I had a saying in my early personal training days, when in doubt, do what Arnie did. Right? So we had like the encyclopedia of bodybuilding, and we just kind of go through that. And most of that's wrong, right? But we did it anyways, and whatever. And then in the 90s, Poliquin principles came out. Yeah. And that started to really engage with some of the research. And it changed some people's perception of like what you could do and where you could go with the same bars and the same plates and so on and so forth. Again, I don't know if much of it holds up anymore. It probably does. Maybe it does. But certainly there aren't a lot of people running those progressions anymore. But it was an interesting sort of start. And then like Poliquin, one of the things that like I followed him for years, and he was kind of instrumental in bumping up the internet, the web, the use of the interweb. Like he just had like such a big following. And he was always like posting stuff, and he was like a dynamic personality and that kind of thing. And so everyone just started like trying to pattern their work after his. And then all the other wonderful research that's been done, and there's so many great strength and conditioning coaches out there who have sort of changed the world, you know, from like Ben Johnson's coach Charlie Francis. My God, man, like he popularized he basically popularized periodizations in North America, and that changed everything. And you know, Dave Tate and Dan John, like there's just so many great people out there who base their philosophies on actual like research, and they're getting such great results. So I started doing everything and then I went to doing a few things here and there, and now I'm like focused on like one specific thing sort of at a time, and that's sort of been my evolution. Right now I try not to get like too fancy with my programming, but I also I'm an actor, which makes me a dreamer, which means that I can basically like think that I'm at the age of 48, I'm going to become a like professional sprinter and win powerlifting meets at the same time. You know what I mean? So I kind of dance on the line of like trying to achieve as much strength as I possibly can and trying to be fast as hell. And that results in injury more often than not. But you know, I keep trying. I'll push the boundaries for me anyways. I won't do it for my clients. So.
Yeah, but I follow. I mean, seeing your sprinting diaries is one of my lockdown highlights. I'm not even exaggerating about that. I watched a lot of videos. You saw me comment on them. I just think it's. I mean, you know, injury or not, injuries happen. But I think, you know, I see your approach nowadays. You're at least thoughtful about it. Like, you're thinking about the volume you're putting on yourself. You're thinking about things normal people wouldn't think of, where, you know, where some random guy would be like, okay, let's follow Andre DeGrasse's sprinting program. You recognize your age, you're like a 300-pound tank. You recognize those things, and then you keep that in account when you make a sprinting program, right? Like we're 30 meters, and 5 minutes rest would be easier for someone who's half your weight. Like, you would recognize that, hey, that's something that's challenging for me, and like, you know, you do it in an intelligent way, and I mean that's one of the things I really respect about your programming.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. I got to tell you, that's not me. That's Ocho. That's my coach. He's a savant, and I don't know, like. I haven't talked to him in a while. So he's a coach at a school, and I can't use his real name, I don't think. But a good friend of mine totally changed the way that I approach my training, and because he's just one of those guys who's like he was a disciple of Charlie Francis and oh shit, what's his name? Anyways, it'll come to me. And so, long story short, he did all the work and kind of turned me on to the books to read. And so, by the time I was ready to like absorb the information, it was just like it just came really, really easily for me, you know. And but thank God I met him, because otherwise my volumes would be way too high. I'd be way more injured, and you just don't have to do that. Like, especially when you're 48. So tell all the 48-year-olds you know out there, it's fine to keep your volume to 100 meters or less when you are doing sprints. Just fine. And you will get faster.
And low in lifts too. Like, I don't think you have to do 20 sets either.
No, you don't.
Exactly.
I'm feeling like, you know, like a buddy of mine just won the powerlifting meet by setting plus 45-year-old records in all of the lifts, I think. Second overall, first in his age class. And like, he and I were talking and agree, like, triples. We do triples, maybe 6, maybe 8 sets. If you're really, really like in the thralls of it, try and leave yourself like as neurologically charged as you can, and then walk away. You know what I mean? I honestly think that people would laugh if they saw how I train, because like I'll put weight on a bar, and like, you know, if I have to warm up, I warm up. But honestly, like, if I can just go to the bar and start right away, I will. But if there's something going on, like I blew out my knee because my fucking belt died on me 6 weeks ago. So I've been rehabbing a torn meniscus. But if I can just go and squat, I'll just go and squat. Or if I can just go and deadlift, I'll just go and deadlift. Because like, the addition of all of these accessory warm-up moves just wipes me out. And so people are like, well, how can you be this fit and how can you be like strong? And I'm like, well, that's how you do it. Like, even if you were young, that'd be how you do it, right? You might be able to do more reps, right? And you'd have that advantage. But really, the less the better. Do as little as you can for maximum reward, and become a detective in your own physiology, because that's not always going to result in strength gains, and sometimes it's going to result in lots of strength gains that you don't understand.
Man, you need to put that on your website. You're a detective in our physiology. That's honestly like a very interesting and true way to go about it. I think a lot of personal training clients and people who exercise aren't very curious about the process. Like, they have no idea what weight we're loading for them. And I'm like, do you have an idea what this exercise does? They're like, no. I'm like, why do you do 10 reps? They're like, I don't know. Like, so I think when people start thinking about it,
no digging,
like exercise, like, you know, you'll get better results just by thinking about it, and like thinking about, how did the workout go? How am I responding? How can we improve? You don't have to be a formal scientist to do some of those things.
No, you don't. And a lot of it is just seeing what works for you, and that's like pretty. It's pretty basic stuff. I mean, you have to listen to yourself, right? But a lot of this also comes from like experience. So you will, like, when you first start, if you do too much, you're just going to be like too sore to proceed. So perfect. There's a built-in sort of fail-safe, but that's not there. You know, when you're intermediate, when you're advanced, and so on. Like, you just don't get sore the way you used to. Something breaks. Or like or you just do too much and you never achieve super compensation or what have you. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of it is about staying within yourself and being as observant as you can. And I'd love to say that there's one protocol that works for everybody, but I just haven't seen it yet. So if you see it, copy me.
Hell no.
Send it on over. Help. I need your
Well,
help is what I'm saying.
I think another thing too is when people get into training, I feel like sometimes people don't also know their goal. Like I remember one time I was training with a friend and he started doing like sets of 20 of bicep curls. And I was like, oh, why are you doing that? Like that's the first thing he does getting in the gym. Like I was like, oh, I want to get stronger. And I was like, that's not really gonna help you. And he's like, no, yeah, I saw it in like a video before. It's like first of all, that's not gonna give you much strength gain to it. You're gonna probably get like a massive arm pump, but that's it. And so I kind of feel like it does come in with what someone's goal is when they go to the gym.
Yeah, I think most people, if you were to ask them, like, if you were to ask them, how do I lose 10 pounds? Like we were talking about before, like they're going to think like cardio, run 4 miles a day. I think if you're going to talk to them about like getting stronger, they're going to say like reps and reps and reps. Do you know what I mean? And we have an opportunity here to like be teachers and be leaders in our industry, and that guy is there and he's doing it. And let me tell you something, that's way better than me most days. You know what I mean? Like he got there and he's doing it. I remember seeing guys in the gym who just, oh shit,
No worries.
so we're good now.
Oh, some good natty fuel. No, but you're definitely right. Like showing up is really the hardest thing. Like once you show up, that's the big thing.
Yeah, it's 80% of it, someone said. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of is. And there have been days when I've gone to the gym and I've like just been like a puddle of just can't do it. Like you just feel like it's a mistake. Just the idea of warming up to something is just too much to handle. And I've kind of like turned around and left, but patted myself on the back for actually having gotten to the gym in the first place. And I know that sounds weird. but I've been working. I'm 48 right now. I started working out when I was 10. So that's like 38 years of working out. And I'm finally okay with like leaving the gym upon arrival because you just don't have it, live to fight another day type thing. That's important stuff. Right. But it is the showing up that is the thing. And I'll tell my clients like, this isn't 100% true, but like I say, you got about a week. If you're going to use strength training as your vehicle for fitness, I hate that word. You got about a week after you've done it to, before you start losing the strength. And so I try to make it very clear to everybody that like you don't have to do it with me, but you do got to get to a gym and you do have to repeat these movements under the loads that maybe I direct or maybe you direct or whatever. But you have to do it. We need the consistency. And if you're not willing to do that, then this isn't the type of training for you. We have to find something else. We have to find something else that you like to be good at. Gardening, great. Let's do that. You want to go for walks? Perfect. We'll show you how to do that. Whatever it is that integrates the strength training into your day, we can do. But you have to be willing to get better at it. And that's going to require you show up, and you show up with consistency. And I don't think it's too much to ask, because I honestly believe that my dog is digging. I honestly believe, God, I just don't want her to ever do anything that a man tells her. So it's fine if she disobeys me. I honestly believe that like human beings will choose like action, like consciousness chooses action as a form of like protection to create, I hate this word, fitness for survival, right? So I believe that we're all human beings, and on that level, we will choose the action because it makes us feel good, but there's so many confounding factors that have to do with environment, lifestyle, hormones, toxins that enter the skin through every which way, that we're all placed at a sudden disadvantage, you know. So we have to find the way to create that movement for people who can't quite do it yet. And I don't know how we're going to do that. Like, I've tried that and failed so many times, it's not funny. Like, somebody comes up and like, look, I know I'm supposed to work out, but like, I just can't. Like, I honestly, like, I can't. Like, I'm too busy at work and so on and so forth. But like, I know that this is something that I have to do, right? And I'm like, okay. The only thing that I've like that I can arrive at as a thing to try is like, let's try doing way less than you've ever done before. You know, yep. Let's say that it's absolutely fine to get on a treadmill and run for 3 seconds and not fast. Let's do that and see how it goes. It was okay. Yep. All right. So now let's rest for 30 seconds and let's do 3 seconds again. Can you do that? Yeah, I can do that. Do you know what I mean? And then the next time they're coming in for session number 2, they're like, you know what? Like, I had to run for the bus this morning and I ran for the first time in my life. Thank you. And I'm like, well, great. Do you know? Great. You know what I mean? We're doing something here, you know? But there might be people out there who are like, yeah, 3 seconds sucks, and they just never come back or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta have to play the room.
I love that. That's you know what's really funny, Ryan, is I think when people think of personal trainers, especially like the good ones that maybe me and you are, as they say, they think they think there's a lot of like book reading and science, and there is. But I think a lot of people think there's some like fancy scientific testing and programming. A lot of it is literally stuff like that. Like, you can't do this workout. Okay, let's start with something. 8 things don't work. 5 things do work. And then next session, 10 other things don't work. And you kind of just have to like, do that and then keep them coming back. People come back, it keeps us employed, but it also really, they need to keep coming back, and that really sets the routine. Just by showing up, that's infinitely better than not showing up for a workout at all and just like, just going home after work. So
I agree, and like, it's in their best interest. Like, as an example of like, if somebody's coming to me, I have people who come to me because they've got back issues or shoulder issues or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And like, I'll try to talk them through the process of what it is that I'm discovering in my assessment and the reason why I want them to do this particular movement and how often I want them to do it, right? And so then I'll say, no digging. So then I'll send them away and be like, okay, so look, here's the thing. Like, we just need to see if this works over the next little while. So go and do this at these volumes and at these intervals that I prescribe. And like, we'll see if it helps. Great, we're on the right track. You come back, we'll take the next step. If it's not helping, stop paying me, because I don't want to take your money for messing up too bad. And it's kind of the same thing when it comes to fitness or whatever. But in that case, I try to get people really, really specific about what their goals are. I want to know right down to the minuscule detail what it is they want to get good at. Because if we don't have something that you're getting good at, something that's actionable, you're doomed. If you're just showing up and doing DUP, yeah. If you're just showing up doing DUP every day, daily undulating period, DUP, you're doomed. Great, it'll work for 6 weeks or months or whatever, you know what I mean? But like, eventually, you don't have like anything. You don't have any like goal in mind. You're just kind of in this nebulous space. So you either get the results or you don't, and then you stop, or you slow down, and then you go back to the old habits and so on and so forth, right? And then you stop going, right? And that's just what what you just said. It's like, I'll either hurt myself, lose enthusiasm for it because I'm training too hard and not getting the results, or I'll lose enthusiasm because I've destroyed hormones or whatever, right? Dude, you guys keep chucking me out of this broadcast.
We have not done a single thing. I'm gonna blame the dog. I think the dog might have been cutting some stuff out.
It's your fault. Your fault.
No, it's all good, man.
Sorry about that, guys. I don't know. Maybe it's iPhone's idea of a joke.
Maybe,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Fuck, man, seriously. I can hear you though. That's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna try this. Maybe I'm just really bad at this. Maybe I'm just God's way of telling me not to do any more podcasts.
Hey, podcasts are like a hot thing now. It might be good for you.
I know, and like, who knew that there would be podcasts in 1996, right? Like,
yeah,
there was letters to the editor for like Muscle Mag International. That's basically what. Hey, Stu, what do you think of this? Will this help me get girls? Those were that was literally it. But now, like, what's so great is like you got like these like this. There is this platform for like getting out, reaching audiences, and creating like a brand, and if I may, flavor that is like, you know, exclusive to you. And I think that's so friggin' cool. You know. I just do not have the energy as a 48-year-old man with ADD to ever think about making one myself. So I appreciate you guys asking me on here.
no
Well,
worries.
speaking about your energy, we've talked a lot about personal training, but we haven't dove too much into your acting bits. So we definitely want to talk a little bit about that. Now, so you know, you've been on a lot of shows, like and you're a trainer. So what I'm really interested in is, how does your day-to-day kind of look? Like, to the average person, it kind of sounds like it's extremely overwhelming to be a personal trainer and somehow get to your acting gig and get all that done in a day.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do all that, but I can't anymore. Now I just like, if I'm booked on a show, I'll refer clients to another trainer. I'll just have like, I just give myself that peace of mind, because when you're on set, you get, okay, so how it works is you get a call from the second AD the night before that tells you what your call time is. So you could get a phone call at 10 p.m. saying that you have to be in White Rock at 4 a.m. for your call, right? So your time really isn't your own. And if your call time is like, it's in Alder Grove and it's 11 a.m., they could easily call you at 9 a.m. and say, can you get here sooner? We're really pounding through these scenes here quick and yours is coming up. You know what I mean? So when you have a day that's booked on set, or more, I'll always take more. It's just important that I just like not do the training thing, because I'm not going to be good to my clients, and I might have to like, do a last minute bail on them, and I don't feel good about doing that. So I'll just refer them to, if they want to work with another trainer who will run my programs, then I'll do that. If not, we just defer and write it into make up for it when I'm back at it. So you get that call, you hope that you go to sleep. You wake up, you make coffee, you get in car and you drive to Circus, where you meet up with, Circus is like where all the trailers and shit are. And they there's an assistant director there who meets you and is very, very polite to you and asks you if you want coffee. You say yes. And then they show you to your trailer where your wardrobe is. And then you get into your wardrobe and go to hair and makeup. Sometimes that's a long process. Like when I was on Gabby Duran, my makeup was like 4 hours. So it took, that's why I'm saying, like, they want you there at 4 a.m. They want you there at 4 a.m. So now you're in makeup and you're painted green, and you're sitting in your trailer waiting for everything to kind of rev up, and you just kind of like going over all of your just kind of going over all your things, your lines. Am I prepared for this? Am I just ready to like hit my mark and say what I need to in the right kind of way? And then they'll call you to set, or they won't. It will sometimes happen that they get delayed, and then you got to do the same thing tomorrow all over again. Or they'll call you to set, and then you'll go and you're just kind of running it. Every time I say you're running it, but you got to live. Do you know what I mean? You're trying to like create. You're going to your mark to live, to create, to tell this story about this person who is alive. And so you. When they finally say, okay, we got it, they'll say something like check the gate, and that's when you know that like they're ready to move on from that scene. You'll shoot all the other scenes that you need to do, and by the end of it, you're kind of the same kind of mess that you are after a lift meet. That level of fried where you're just like, I don't know if I'm really going to be able to get out of my car and make it to the shower. You're just that fried because, there's hundreds of people there. There's 3 to 5 cameras. They're all on you. You have to look like there's no cameras on you and, kind of be good. So it's a lot of stress. And then you're going back the next day to kind of do the whole thing again. So from that point of view, it's not a good thing to have to leave there and go train clients. I have done it. It's just not fun. And then there's something that kind of happens to you afterwards, like when you're in a lift meet, believe it or not, where like for days after you kind of feel like you're walking around in a fog. Because you've done like so much, like it's been so much effort, so go, that and so many people depending on you, that you just kind of feel like washed out for a little while. I call it set lag. It kind of feels like jet lag. You're just constantly tired. And then, and now on those days, that's when I'm in the gym, because fortunately, like if I'm a trainer, I don't have to do too much besides like move some weights around for people or whatever. But balancing the two is like, I'm just really, really lucky that I have a career where people are okay with me like taking a week or 2 off and going to shoot this thing. It wouldn't be the same if I was a server in a restaurant. It's like you can get shifts covered, but sooner or later it's going to catch up to you. But I've been lucky enough to build a successful business in town with people who all understand that I am an actor, and that might pull me away. They all kind of think it's neat. And are always like interested in like, hey, how was the audition? So on and so forth. And from time to time, it's fine for them to have a week off from the gym. It's probably in their best interest anyways, so it can be a good break for them. And for me, it's just like I don't know, my dog sees her best friend outside. So now it's over. Anyway, so like I'm lucky that I can do these things, and then everybody seems to understand. If I was a coach, if I was working with a sports team or something like that, I don't think I'd be able to do this. So yeah, lucky.
To go back to like the whole career and acting, what's been like your favorite role? Because I was on your IMDb and it's just like it just doesn't end. I just keep scrolling. So what's your favorite role? What one stands out?
Man, okay, this is kind of a tough one. It's like I started getting roles that were like that were pretty good about like 7 years ago or something like that. And I remember the first one that I did, like it was supernatural, and I was playing a werewolf, and my character was a werewolf. Which, by the way, like, it's never a good idea to pick fights with supernatural beings on TV. But I did this part, and it was more days than I had ever had on a show before, and it was more interactions with the director and so on and so forth. I was actually like able to be a creative influence. So that was the first one that was supernatural. I was super happy about that. But like there was this one show, Arrow, that I was on, and it was just such a special experience. I had this great director who everybody loves, and he's like a former stunt man, and he and I just had a great sort of rapport together, and we're in front of 200 people who shooting this. I'm a prison guard, and we're shooting this scene in the prison, and everything gets quiet when the director says, "Okay, rolling," and then you wait, right? Because you're waiting for "and action," and then you go, and he goes rolling, and everything gets quiet, and he goes, "Ryan was born for this part. Action." And I was like, right on. This is great. This is great. You know what I mean? I'm super happy. I'm in a guest star on a hit TV show, and like I can do no wrong with this director. And it was just a lot of like heavy elation from having spent 30 years struggling as an actor. I still struggle. Like, I'm unemployed right now. If anybody has a job for me, I'll take it. There's irons in the fire. I'm hoping someone will see this and give me a job.
We wish we were that big. We'd love to help you in any way we can.
I wish there was a famous director on here to give you a job. I would love that.
Right? Me too. Maybe there will be. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that Arrow role, like, I was searching it up, and there's actually like a whole fan Wikipedia page of you, and I was kind of thinking, like, I used to work at some bars in downtown, and we used to get some of the cast from the Vikings TV show. They would come by, and like, cool. People would recognize them a lot. Like, they would always come by and be like, "Hey, you on that show and stuff." And I was wondering with you, like, do you ever get like clients or anything? I was like, I know you, like, I've seen you before. Like, how often does that happen?
I mean, not really that often. It has happened more lately where people, yeah, I actually got a message from somebody who would become a very regular client saying, "I saw you on Stargate." I saw you on Stargate. I need a trainer type thing. I thought it was kind of neat. And then the story is her dad absolutely loves Stargate. He's a fan of all of it, and I was in all three incantations of it. And so yeah, it was kind of like for her to say, "Oh yeah, my trainer is that guy in Stargate." I thought that was kind of neat. Yeah. And I also do train some actors, and I train some like people who are in production and stuff. And then the last thing we ever want to do is talk about work. So yeah, it just kind of feels like it's people aren't like pounding down my door because, "Hey, you were York on Arrow," or whatever. But at the same time, like, it's I think it's kind of neat whenever anybody is like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, man.
Like, I did a bunch of commercials.
I watched all 8 seasons of Arrow, so
nice.
So I think it's super awesome that you were on that show. I was pretty into it when it was in its prime. It dropped off at the end, but it was a good show.
I heard. I never really watched it, to be honest with you, until I was auditioning for it. Then you try to get a feel for like what the show is, so you watch a bunch of episodes. The first, I thought it was super compelling at first, and but I wasn't able to just watch all of it. You get an idea of what's, you get an idea of what's what the feel for the show is, and then you stick to the script a little bit. And these things change, like my wife and I are into Homeland right now, and it's like a completely different show. The season that we're on is just like, I think we're on season 4 or something. It's like, oh, we're kind of losing track a little bit here. You know what I mean? I think the shows run the risk of doing that if they're not constantly like staying edgy and fresh with like the thing that brought the audience there in the first place.
I love Game of Thrones. Yeah.
What the hell happened there? Why anything in that show?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a believer that like no show needs to be longer than 5 seasons. Like, I think 5 seasons should be the maximum of any TV show.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I have a friend who's a producer, and he was like, we write 3 seasons. And if it's a hit, then they ask you to expand. And that's why you get stinking episodes like that Fly episode in Breaking Bad. Like, what the fuck was that? It's like you're just chasing a fly around your meth lab. Why? Oh, but it's art, I guess.
It's Oh man. So one kind of,
if anyone from Breaking Bad is watching, I'm very sorry. I love the show. It was great.
If anyone from Breaking Bad is watching, please let us know. We'd love to have you on.
You're welcome.
I gotta ask too about like, for any young aspiring actors, because like in Vancouver, everyone wants to get into showbiz here. Like, it's basically the Canadian Hollywood. What advice would you give to anyone who wants to get into it?
Okay. I've been asked this before, and I don't want to give you like the stock answer. You got to understand that this is going to be hard. There's lots and lots of people who are trying and are really, really good. They've dedicated their lives to it and not able to sort of make a living. So if you're lucky enough to get the audition and you're lucky enough to book the part, you're kind of taking a job away from those guys. That said, if it is your love, you will have to love it. You have to do it. You just don't have a choice. And because it is such a fulfilling, wonderful, engaging career in life. And if that is the case, then you're going to need something that we have already talked about. You are going to need to show up. You are going to need to show up with consistency, and you are going to need to practice. And you have to do that regularly. And if you don't love doing those things, it's not likely that you're going to be able to withstand the amount of times that they say, not this time. You know what I mean? The amount of the sheer volume of rejection. The only thing that you can lean on is that thing that's in your brain that says, no, fuck, I'm good. I can do this. This is something that I have. This is something that I can give. You know what I mean? Which is kind of the exact same thing as strength training and powerlifting. You know what I mean? You have to get there. You have to show up. If you don't love it, I don't know, man. I don't think you can be taught to love it. And so that's it. Love it and get out there and do it. Take classes. And see if you can continue that love, right? Even when you're bad, and you'll probably be bad for the first little while anyways. So don't be afraid of being bad, because being bad doesn't matter. Being bad actually makes you way better in the future.
Yeah.
Just like powerlifting, just like strength training, like get out and practice. And if you can do that, then yeah, man, the sky could be the limit. I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the limit is for me. Like I've just been lucky enough to do it a little bit.
Well, I've got I've got a good question here. It's me Anwar and pretty much everyone watching the show except the Breaking Bad guy will never be an actor, and will never, because it really sounds like it's a very tough gig. You're waiting a lot on jobs, and when you get that audition, nothing's guaranteed, and even the job itself it sounds like a grueling, tough time. Can you describe as best you can, like, what makes you love acting and what keeps you doing it? Because it's been close to 30 years that you've been working through this.
Good question. There's a relationship communication that happens between people that goes underneath what we are actually saying. And as actors, we're really, really lucky to know what it is that we're going to say next. Like, wouldn't that be great? If you got to always know what it is that you were going to say next. And when you get it right, it doesn't look like you knew what you were going to say. It looks like this feedback loop that you're entering into with another person. And that's the same as for me when you're picking up a deadlift and you're not sure if it's going to go, you know what I mean? And the bar bends and you're trying to push the floor away with your feet as best as you can. And then it starts to move and you don't know if you're going to clear your knees, but somehow you do, and so on and so forth. It's the same kinetic feeling as being engaged as a character in a play or on screen when the cameras are whirling and everything really like counts and everything really, really matters. So like that is something that you're creating that is very, very special, and you're sharing it with an audience, and that audience, if you guys are doing it right, is suspending their disbelief, and they are judging along with these characters as to whether or not they would do the same thing in that situation. And then they get to go forward into their lives and make better choices. And that is the beauty for me of being an actor, of being in the creative process. You really get to change a lot of people for or allow people to change themselves, for the better, to make better choices and so on, right? When we're trainers, we get to affect one person's life, but you affect it so dramatically. Do you know what I mean? Like, and when you're on Arrow, 3 million people watch you talking to Arrow, and they're like, oh, okay, like I've seen conversations like this. I've been in conversations like this before. There's no need to be, that kind of an asshole. Next time I'm in that conversation, I'm not going to be that kind of an asshole. So you kind of change the world from that point of view. Does that make sense?
That was beautifully because I've always had a tough time understanding like what makes actors tick. Like it's a tough job. That was beautifully explained, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for asking. It's something that you kind of have to think about, like, what is it that we're actually doing,
Yeah, I guess also with like how tough it can be, it's like sometimes you have to sit down and be like, why am I really doing this? And like I really kind of love how you have this like altruistic motive about impact. That's not about the fame or money, although all that's nice. The big thing is like making that impact is the big motivator.
Well, yeah. And like I said, man, like I wouldn't consider myself famous and by any stretch of the imagination. And when it comes to money, like I haven't had a job in a month or two now, so it's kind of running out. So if anyone out there has a job for me, I'll take it. There's a beer drinking personal trainer who needs an acting job.
There's gotta be a role somewhere for that nowadays.
I'm sure there is one. Yeah. I don't want. I don't want to get too long in the tooth about it. You know what I mean? Like, really, it can just be fun too. You know,
Yeah.
like, but so can, you know, being a trainer. Like, being a trainer can really, really be a lot of fun. Like, some people are just a joy to train. Some people, and when people get great at something, it's just like, oh my god, this is amazing. You know, when you rehab that torn Achilles, or you know, the torn meniscus or broken rib or whatever's broken on me lately. You know what I mean? It's like it gives you like a tremendous sense of like empowerment. They both do. It's kind of neat.
Beautiful, man. Well, Amber, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Pat. I was just gonna say, kind of tying it in back to the fitness thing. So, Ryan, one of the most amazing things I think is the fact that even in your like late 30s, you're still insanely strong and like insanely fit. Like,
Oh,
it
that's
really
nice.
is a huge motivation. Like, I was going down your Instagram, and I was like, man, like, you do not see 30-year-olds squatting 500 pounds. Like, you do not see that at all. So, like,
they're out there. They're out there.
What's the key? Like, what's the secret? Because, like, when I look at that, I'm like, I want to be that. I want to be like 50, 60, 70, still training hard, still living a great, healthy life, being able to do all that stuff. What's the secret? What do I need to do to keep that up?
That's so awesome, man. What a good question. Pat, you want to take that one for me?
I'm 24. I'm not supposed to answer this question.
Practice. Be gentle on yourself. Be kind to yourself, and practice. Show up.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised what the cumulative accomplishment of that provides. Like, when I think about like all the times that I left parties when I was, you know, in my 20s because I had rugby practice, or I had to train for my, I was a bodybuilder, so I was training for an event or whatever, you know, like those sacrifices multiply, and you build such momentum from it going down. And I don't want to like claim space as like a strong guy. I'm kind of strong, and I'm not a fast guy. I'm kind of fast. I could always kind of put things together in the field better than I could be like really, really strong or really, really fast. But the collective effort of all of that, and learning, trying to get better, and so on and so forth over years, is the most important thing. Like, showing up is the most important thing. Just get there. You know what I mean? Just see what you can do. See what is in the tank, you know? And then if nothing is there, and it's consistently nothing, maybe we talk about like what your biological requirements are, and so on and so forth. But if there's one thing, it's show up. If there's two, it's like, you know, practice.
Man, well, and Russia, the race is on. 48 and 500-pound squat.
Oh, you're gonna do one, man. Let's
You'll probably
do
be
it.
able to do it before that, man. Like 500 pounds. Yeah. And honestly, like, man, I'm proud of that lift, but like, I don't like, I swear I got more in me, man. Like,
Let's go. Let's do it.
I could do 550. I swear that day that belt broke, I was going for 550. It would have been no problem. And then like, once you're at 550, might as well go for 6.
Yeah.
See, we need this actress mentality. I'm like, I've squatted like 380 of like 381. I think would break.
Nice. No,
dude.
dude. But like, you're amazingly kinetic and powerful with your ollies, man. I just fucking love watching them. It's so good, and you've gotten so much better, you know. And that's it. That's all you're doing, right? You practice. Get in there. Practice. Yep. Do it. You know, it's amazing. Like, people who are like-minded. This is a great thing about like Instagram and you know, Snapchat and stuff. It's just like, wow, we have a resource where we can contact these people, and we can, you know, figure out what it is that works for them and see if it works for you, and so on and so forth. Like, all these little frilly things that I never had when I was a kid. Like, I'd walk up to bodybuilders in the gym and be like, hey, I'm Ryan. Like, What's going on here? What's this business about? I'd love to talk to you about it. You know what I mean? And you don't have to do that so much anymore, or you do, but it's an app. It's an app now.
Yeah.
So the advantages, I think, are there. I think that the kids that are in their 20s right now have like just a much greater understanding of physiology and like performance programming than we ever could. Like the things that are out there is just unreal. I'm almost ashamed to admit the stuff that we were doing when we were kids, because like now it's like if you're in high school, you can Google it, and these kids they know all of this stuff. Like they know energy systems, and they know like not to be training at cross purposes and so on and so forth. And you're in high school, and if you like, I was 43 when I learned what training across. My coach was like, "Yeah, you're training to cross purposes." I'm like, "What?" I just made the biggest rookie move of all time. He's like, "Yeah." All right, I've been making myself slower all this time. Excellent, thank you very much. You know what I mean? And kids, they don't have to make those mistakes anymore. You know what I mean? Some people still do it, and it's not like common knowledge, but at the same time, the information is there. You can find the experts, you can so on and so forth, right? It just sort of depends on like how deep the dive is.
Yeah, well, Ryan, we've taken up a whole bunch of time. We're so appreciative.
Guys, thank you so much. I love having talks like this. Like, I love talking about training and stuff, and like my mouth will just go a million miles an hour sometimes. So, I hope I didn't leave you hanging too far.
No, I really loved these stories, and also it's so cool. Kind of like I like when you go through your day-to-day life. Like it's so cool that like you're going to set and you go train someone, and just seeing the purpose. It's kind of the same for both these jobs.
Yeah, it kind of is. You know. Like it's got this weird kind of meaning to it, you know.
Yeah.
And we're really, really lucky working in an industry or either industry where we get to have such an impact on people. So it behooves us not to fuck it up.
Straight up.
I love it. But yeah, so do you have any socials you want to share for people to check you out, to learn more from you?
Instagram, Ryan Ginger Official. Check out my website, ryanbooth.ca. I'm on Facebook. If you feel like throwing on a follow to any of those, that'd be great. I'll probably follow you back. Yeah, have a look out for Gabby Duran, and have a look out for Under Wraps, and have a look out for Peacemaker. And there's some irons in the fire as well. I'll tell you about those next time.
Oh man, would love to hear about the next time you're going to be in the Breaking Bad sequel because of the listeners we have.
Yeah, either that or I'll be blacklisted because like all the producers in Hollywood will be like, "Fuck this kid."
Yeah, I love the Fly episode. That's my favorite one.
This guy doesn't understand anything.
Yeah. What a meathead.
Totally.
Oh man. All right, Ty, do you have anything last things you want to ask or say?
Yeah, last thing, Ryan. I know you're a huge movie guy. Obviously, you love film.
Right.
Play us out. Give us your top 5 films, and we'll be on our way.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay, are we talking favorite films or like best films? Because like my wife and I actually had this conversation the other day. It's like, okay, are we talking about like the movies that like we really love the most, or the ones that we like structurally believe to be the best?
Give me your favorite ones. I think it's more fun.
Okay.
Yeah, like you're trapped on an island. You can only bring 5 movies. What movies would come to an island?
Okay, Field of Dreams, Bull Durham, you know, I gotta go with like Saving Private Ryan. If I'm on an island, I'd probably leave Schindler's List alone because that would be depressing as shit. When Harry Met Sally, I think, because like we all need love. And rounding out the top 5, let's go with Oh, Sorcerer's Stone.
Harry
The first
Potter.
Harry
Did
Potter
not
movie.
expect that one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you gotta give it up for Harry Potter, man. Like me and my wife can watch that movie over and over. We watch all 6 over and over again. Oh, I left out Star Wars movies. Oh, I failed.
I will
You
give
can
you
take
one
one
more.
more.
I throw one more. One Star Wars.
Okay, all right. Let's go with Empire, and we'll remove. Did I say Schindler's List? Let's remove Schindler's. No, it's Saving Private Ryan. We're going to take out Saving Private Ryan because it's a great, great movie, one of the best of all times, but it might not be the best. We'll watch a little bit of Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see that.
There's other
There
great
you
Star
go.
Wars movies. There are, but Empire is probably the one that us old guys appreciate the most.
I think that's the one I like too. Sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Well,
guys.
hey, Ryan, thank you again so much. We're definitely going to have you on again. And it was an absolute pleasure to hear all your stories. Really great time.
Anwar, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Pat, great to see you again. We'll bump into each other at the track.
Yeah. Running our 14, 18, 25 second 100 meters. We'll
That's
see you there in a flash.
yeah. If you're young, brag away there, young guy.
With my 25 second 100 meters.
That's right. Braggity brag. Guys, thank you very much. What do I do? I just put leave?
Oh, no, don't worry about it. We'll end the recording. Well, anyways, thank you all to the listeners. Be sure to leave a comment, a like, share this video with all your friends and family. And this week, this is Natty News out.
Natty.